Unity. What I've been reflecting on in this last week is how much unity is an experience that ultimately I'm kind of always looking for, I'm always searching for and craving. I think back in November when we were still talking about this theme, I I talked about how unity is both an experience, a pleasant experience, a positive experience of kind of harmony, oneness, everything working together, connection, right? It's an experience and it's also a practice, something that we're actively trying to make happen. Um, Unity or union or the unified state. This is this is a translation of the very word yoga, which of course you can have a yogic experience or a meditative experience, and you can practice yoga and you can practice meditation. And part of the wisdom of a mature, more mature yogi is the wisdom that just because we're practicing doesn't mean we're always going to have the experience, right? I can show up for a meditation practice and do everything right and still not necessarily, and still feel divided when I get up 20 minutes later. That can happen. And I can be out in the world doing something that you wouldn't necessarily associate with yoga or meditation and tap into this state. That's a natural state. And and I've been contemplating how my attachment to the experience of union, my desire for it, um, maybe not the desire itself, but maybe the way that I relate to that desire, can get in the way of me experiencing it. And that actually, a lot of times when I'm suffering and I'm struggling, are there moments when I'm trying to get back to a unitive state, or I'm trying to escape something that feels like a divided state. And I don't know if this has happened for you before, but you know, on this path, I've had all these kind of wonderful experiences of union and connection and beauty. Gosh, how lucky I am that I've had those experiences on and off my cushion or mat, you know? Some of them have been at the retreat center with some of you guys that are here with me live. And some of them, again, have been just giggling with my niece or running around with my dog or on a hike or on stage performing or, you know, some other moment where where basically I wasn't seeking the unitive state because I was in it, where I wasn't trying to experience something. I was just experiencing it. But what can happen is I can get kind of addicted or I can get really attached to like the memories of those experiences. And then what I'm doing is I'm comparing the now to that past better experience. And the now seems kind of shabby or incomplete or overwhelming or just not what I want. I want it to be more like it was at Pumpkin Hollow, you know? And realizing how much my kind of attachment to the unitive state is really an in that moment, I'm not practicing acceptance. I'm not accepting whatever unity, whatever new experience of unity might be available now. I'm not available for it. And this theme of acceptance is one that I also have taught about a lot and thought about a lot. But I realize that the experience of unity really has to come with the experience of acceptance. That sorry guys, that was a sneeze. Snuck up on me. Um, I'm not super sick. It's just that time of year. Um, yeah, that when I am working so hard, trying so hard to get to the unitive state, that very kind of like doer attitude and that the hardness of it doesn't allow me to feel that kind of gentling open of my boundaries that is unity, that acceptance and gentleness and just kind of really allowing everything to be as it is actually the most straight path to experiencing what it is that I'm seeking. In the meditation that we just did together, I I referenced just at the end how our memories can kind of keep pulling us back into the past, and how our expectations can yank us into the future. And the more that I reflect on that, the more I realize that my what I've experienced in my life is frankly kind of when I'm having a bad mental health day, it usually shows up in one of two ways, or if it's a really confusing one, I'll maybe have some combination of both. But it's really, what I have struggled with, what is called depression and anxiety, these two poles. To me, depression feels like the past or my memories kind of making everything heavy and like yanking me back, not allowing me to have the energy to inhabit the present because of that kind of heavy pulling back into the past. And that I experience anxiety really as like it's like the future won't let me, it's the future pulling me forward. And that direction also, it won't let me just inhabit the here and now. And how this practice of acceptance, accepting the now as it is getting back into a healthy relationship with time, with past, with future, to get back into a healthy relationship with my memories, which should be back there supporting me, and in a healthy relationship with my expectations and my goals and my desires, those things that we kind of throw out ahead of us. But so much of the time I'm not treating time very nicely, right? I'm either trying to kind of make use of the time and stretch out the time, right? Make the most of it, or I'm trying to pass the time or kill the time. I mean, just look at the words that we use here. It's like um, disrespectful at best and violent at worst. The way that we're trying to kind of manipulate and use time. The unitive state is not something that I ever experience when I'm feeling that pull back into the past or that yank forward into the future. In Sanskrit, we have the terms tamas, which means heavy energy, and rajas, which means like a frenetic energy, right? And that, the yoga practice is to, those are called the gunas, right? Is to bring it back into balance. And sattva guna is our sort of a clear, healthy, balanced guna. But I was kind of realizing that for me at least, I experienced that pull back into memory and to past as a kind of is tamas or tamasic energy, depression. And that anxiety is rajas. It's too much, right? I've got too many things to do, and so I'm gonna have to multitask. And there's no chance of feeling centered in either one. But of course, what happens, what's really cool, is that in that unitive state, in the sattvic state, where we're just in the present, we don't have to work really hard. We don't have to juggle 50 things at once. Because as I'm sure you've experienced, even if just once or twice for a second of your life, when we're in the unitive state, we're connected to everything. And the work moves through us. Not because we just did it really hard or really amazingly, right? But because we made ourselves available for forces that are bigger than the small self. So that's what I've been thinking about. And I invite you to take whatever little nugget or thread from this that resonated and play with it this week. Um, notice notice yourself, notice your relationship to past and future, and see what you can do to even if just for one moment, it's so powerful to go, could I just be in the present? Can I just take line up right here and accept, you know? Um, Notice when you're either working too hard against time or kind of giving up and hanging back into that heavy state and space, and see if you can find somewhere just right there in the middle. Let the bigger forces that be come in and move through you rather than trying to make it all happen with your own energy. I hope that you have a wonderful week. I will stay on here for a couple more minutes. If anybody has any questions, you can just type them into the chat box or unmute yourself if you want. And but for now, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and wish you all a wonderful, beautiful day.